This is Margin Machine, where we follow the money behind AI. A company called Decagon is reportedly closing enterprise contracts worth more than $50,000 a year, and replacing them with a tool that starts at $47 a month. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how a tiny AI startup built a pricing model so clean it makes legacy software look like a scam. And the obvious explanation, that it's just cheaper software, is completely wrong. Welcome back to another money trail. Customer support is one of the most expensive, most hated line items in any company's budget. Think about what it actually costs. You hire agents. You train them. You lose them. You hire consultants to build out ticketing workflows. You pay for Zendesk, Salesforce Service Cloud, or Intercom, each one billing you per seat, per month, regardless of whether your tickets get resolved or your customers leave angry. The average mid-sized SaaS company spends somewhere between $40,000 and $80,000 a year just on support tooling and consulting fees to configure it. And the dirty secret? Most of those tools don't actually resolve anything. They just route and track. The resolution still depends on a human who might be underpaid, undertrained, and handling 60 tickets a day. That gap, between what companies pay and what they actually get, is exactly the crack Decagon decided to crawl into. But the way they monetized it is not what you'd expect. Decagon is an AI-native customer support platform. It connects to your existing knowledge base, your docs, your past tickets, your product FAQs, and it trains a model specific to your company. Then it handles incoming support conversations autonomously. Not as a clunky chatbot that says, "I didn't understand that, would you like to speak to an agent?" No. It actually resolves the ticket. Closes the loop. Sends the answer. Escalates intelligently when it genuinely can't handle something. Reported resolution rates, meaning tickets fully closed without human intervention, are in the range of 70 to 80% for companies with well-documented products. That number matters. Because if you think about what support teams actually do all day, most tickets are some variation of the same 20 questions. Password resets. Billing confusion. Feature walkthroughs. Decagon eats those for breakfast. And here's the part nobody mentions, it gets better the longer it runs, because it's continuously learning from new resolutions inside your specific context. But the real story isn't the technology. It's what they decided to charge for it, and how that one decision is why enterprise buyers keep saying yes. Most software charges you to exist. Per seat, per month, flat fee, you pay whether the thing works or not. Decagon flipped that. Their model is outcome-based. You pay per resolution. Per ticket actually closed. Not per agent logged in. Not per conversation initiated. Per problem solved. At scale, that can average out to somewhere reportedly in the range of a few dollars per resolved ticket, sometimes less. Now do the math. If you're paying a consultant $50,000 a year to configure and manage your support stack, and that stack is resolving maybe 10,000 tickets annually, you're paying $5 per resolution before you even count the cost of the agents handling them. Decagon comes in and offers to resolve 7,000 to 8,000 of those tickets automatically, at a fraction of that cost. The remaining 2,000 go to your human team, who are now handling only the genuinely complex cases. Your support costs drop. Your CSAT scores go up, because resolution is faster. And your consultants, politely, become redundant. Would you have taken that deal? Tell me in the comments. Here's where it gets weird, though, because the companies writing these checks aren't scrappy startups. They're the ones you'd least expect. This is where everyone gets it wrong about AI support tools. The assumption is that only small companies, the ones who can't afford real support teams, would trust an AI to talk to their customers. Enterprise buyers, the thinking goes, would never risk it. Decagon's customer list says otherwise. Companies like Notion, Rippling, and Duolingo have reportedly worked with or piloted the platform. These are not small operations. Notion alone has millions of users. Rippling processes payroll for thousands of businesses. These are companies where a bad support interaction has real downstream consequences. The fact that they're betting on Decagon tells you something important about how the risk calculation has shifted. When your AI is resolving 75% of tickets correctly, the question stops being, is this safe, and starts being, why are we still paying humans to answer the same question about how to reset a password for the 400th time? If you saw our video on the AI company that only gets paid when it actually works, you already know where this is going. Outcome-based pricing isn't just a sales tactic. It's a trust signal. It says, we're confident enough in our product to tie our revenue to your results. And that confidence is exactly what unlocks enterprise procurement. Let's follow the money all the way through, because this is Margin Machine, and that's what we do. Decagon is built on top of large language model infrastructure, likely a combination of providers. Their cost per inference, meaning the compute cost to generate one AI response, is somewhere in the range of fractions of a cent for a standard query, slightly more for complex multi-turn conversations. If they're charging a few dollars per resolved ticket, and their inference cost is well under $1, the gross margin on each resolution is significant. Potentially 60, 70, even 80% gross margin at scale. That's software business territory. Now compare that to the company they're replacing. The consulting firm that charges $50,000 a year has to pay its consultants, its account managers, its travel, its overhead. Margins in that business are typically 20 to 35% on a good year. Decagon is doing better than that while charging less. The reason that's possible is the same reason all great AI business models work right now: the cost of inference is falling faster than the price customers are willing to pay. Every month, the models get cheaper to run. The revenue stays the same. The margin expands automatically, without Decagon having to do anything except keep the lights on. But there's one vulnerability in this model that nobody's talking about yet. Here's the honest version of the story. Outcome-based pricing sounds perfect. But it creates a very specific pressure. Decagon's revenue is directly tied to resolution volume. If a customer's product gets better documented, fewer confused users, fewer edge case tickets, Decagon's revenue from that account goes down. If a customer's product gets simpler, same outcome. Their incentives are subtly misaligned with their customers' long-term success. The other risk is defensibility. Right now, Decagon has a real head start in enterprise trust building and proprietary training data from existing customers. But the underlying models they're built on are available to anyone. A well-funded competitor, or an incumbent like Zendesk, which has already launched AI features, could replicate the pricing model and the integration layer. What Decagon is racing to build, before that happens, is a data moat. Every resolved ticket, every customer-specific fine-tuning run, every learned escalation pattern, that's institutional knowledge baked into the model that a new entrant can't just buy. The question is whether they can widen that moat fast enough. And whether the incumbents are moving as slowly as Decagon is betting they are. We follow the money here every week. Subscribe so you don't miss the next trail. Decagon is a small company making a very large bet. That enterprises will trust AI to represent their brand in the most human moment of the customer relationship, when something goes wrong. So far, the money says they're right. But there's a follow-on question this entire story raises, one that could determine whether Decagon becomes a billion-dollar exit or a cautionary tale. Which companies in the next 18 months are going to try to clone this exact model in adjacent professional services, legal intake, financial advising, medical triage, and what happens to the liability when the AI gets it wrong? If you want to know which industries are next in line for the outcome-based AI takeover, click the video on your screen right now.